Hello and welcome back to Project Rejectus. Today, we will be talking about some of the biggest environments on Rejectus, the forests, and how each animal adapts to them in their own ways. Starting on Glanum, the Runics, having found great success, continued growing bigger in their snowy plains, growing in dense colonies. They eventually formed their own environments. With the amount of them theirs was in a singular area. The Artorta grew in a twisted pattern with their bark growing around each other. These trees could collect more energy than any other plant, meaning they could heat themselves up constantly, making them surprisingly warm to touch. Some animals even lay down on them to heat up where it's too cold. These trees, however, caused issues for the plants below that couldn't get any sunlight since the trees blocked them out, meaning they couldn't make food. The Trillium countered this by completely abandoning photosynthesis, going for a new feeding method. The Bunzum instead produced its own food by absorbing much of the nutrients in their soil more effectively, making them act as this world's version of mushrooms, quickly growing on the forest floor. With all these new plants in one area, animals were sure to follow, staring with the Nixillas taking full advantage of the abundant food they grew. Extremely tall to reach higher leaves with added bulk to support and heat themselves. Another descendant, however, took to the trees, being much smaller than their cousins. The Parax jumped from tree to tree, nibbling on leaves with a new color to resemble the tree bark around them. These new herbivores attracted predators soon after. Descended from the wolves, the Pinata had long, lengthy limbs to easily move through the branches, relying on doors to catch up to their prey, gripping onto them with their claws. Another, however, went for a different route. The less successful Pinatas found a new food source. The Rejectus used their hard teeth to eat Artorta bark, making burrows in them, with many spending their entire lives in a single Artorta tree. With all these new predators, pressure was put on the Parax to adapt. Their descendants did this by growing long skin flaps they could deploy at will to easily glide across the trees. The Vogus could now escape their predators much more easily. This wasn't the end, as the Trillium made one more innovation. By growing on the Artorta, they could now better reach sunlight, but reproduction became a huge issue for them, so they found a solution. The florist did this by gaining a mutual relationship with the animals around it, pollination with a yellow center to attract them. They provided nectar in exchange for animals spreading their genes around. The animal that acted as the pollinator was a descendant of the Parax. The snows glided from forest to florist, reaching the nectar with their long mouths, quickly drinking the nectar before gliding away. From the Rejectus, however, came a predator, becoming even smaller by hiding on the forest's yellow center. The flame could easily eat the pollinators, only ever leaving their flowers to mate or escape a bigger predator in their area. That just sums it up for Glanum. So now we'll go up to Sepsis and see how they're doing. Starting with the Cerebi, as they spread across the continent, they soon became bigger, but needed a way to maintain themselves. The Brino did this by making their bark stronger with their leaves. Resembling a brain, they spread by sending new offshoots of themselves through their roots, effectively cloning themselves, meaning one forest is technically a single tree. The Testrum was one of the first to travel into this new area, as the forests gave them much more cover than the plains ever did. Their descendants, the Inura, quickly became arboreal, with a skinny body plan to swing across the trees, similar to primates, by using their top arms to swing themselves. As predators arose, however, this wasn't enough, as they could easily catch up to them. Their descendants evolved a thin membrane, allowing them to glide. The Volt glided in a similar way to a parachute, safely descending onto nearby trees to escape. The predator that hunted these animals was a descendant of the Bractro, by gaining totose, could grip onto the trees, easily giving them good balance. The polos used all of this to dominate the treetops, using the branches and vines to their advantage. They are known to being extremely aggressive, seen growling and waving their top arm around to scare off competition. Another descendant of the bractro, the fedorin, became a large bulky predator similar to bears. They gained a type of hoof on their feet to support their new weight, living on the forest floor looking for their next meal. This new tank, however, made many herbivores advance rapidly. One herbivore caught in this new predator's evolution was the Priga, entering into a new rivalry to with the fedorum, improving their defenses. One of these descendants, the Anu, grew a horn that all its descendants shared with it to counter their hunters, making it harder to hit their softer body parts, along with their agility to easily dodge and even these predators. One of the Anu's descendants, the Turcus, went for a more generalist lifestyle, becoming bulkier and heavier. They forages the forest floor for anything that would fit in their mouth, using an improved sense of smell to track it, along with the benefit of detecting predators. Another descendant, however, avoided competition entirely, becoming extremely small. They scurried the ground looking for leaves to nibble on. With their improved shells, they could roll up into a ball whenever frightened, to protect themselves, until the predator eventually gave up on even trying. One predator, however, wouldn't give up this easily. A descendant of the Partellum, the Malium, having fully lost their shells, acted as a small ambush predator, hiding in leaves or by trees, using their red color to attract prey. They added onto this with their slight color change ability, being able to shift through different shades of red. The last creature we will discuss on species is a descendant of the Maslata, with the sunlight being blocked out by the forests. They had to grow higher to get sunlight. The Vintis grew on the trees to reach sun light and supported themselves by growing to each other, supporting themselves in long lines that many animals use to travel the dense forest. That finishes up sepsis, so now it's time for our final continent. Let's see how Crescentia's been doing. Staring with the chairba, and just like the others, they eventually grew to the point of needing more support, leading to then gaining a red bark. But unlike their cousins, they took much longer to grow, and their old reproduction methods just weren't cutting it anymore in their jungles. All of these factors created the Frubris, a tall tree adapted for tropical climates. With the amount there was, it got harder for their offspring to grow, having to compete with even their own parents for survival. So the Frubris countered this by growing yellow fruits to attract herbivores, so their seeds could spread far. The Testporus was one of the first to colonize these jungles, with them having 3 descendants with their own ways to survive. The Exyrit is the first we will discuss, having evolved for an arboreal lifestyle. They climb in a similar manner to sloths on Earth, while using their back limb to swing themselves to nearby branches, having also developed 3 claws on each hand for better grip. Another group, however, went for a vastly different strategy. The Ligtro became arboreal predators with a single claw on each limb. Their scales now resemble the trees around them to act as camouflage, with a similar movement to earth monkeys, using their top 2 limbs to swing, while their back acted as a type of third hand. The last descendant of the Testporus was the Tessa. Unlike their cousins, they stuck to the ground during their time of peace. Before predators, they gained bright colors to attract mates, but as predators came, this became a liability. But instead of losing their colors, they instead became poisonous to deter predators, with their colors now acting as a warning. A descendant of the Verema copied this, while not truly poisonous. The Venlum copied the Tessa's colors, pretending to be poisonous whenever a predator tried to eat them. They would quickly flash their tails, acting the predator's instinct to avoid them before, quickly. Running away can't be too safe. The Chairba with all these newcomers had trouble just. Like the other continents, the vast jungles blocked out sunlight from any plants below, so the Chairba descendants, the frume having become carnivorous, looks like a fallen branch with fruits on it to attract small animals wrapping their vines around them and slowly digesting them. The Magcio followed, being attracted to the plentiful food in the forests, could grow ginormous with their mouths extending greatly. They also made a surprising adaptation, air sacs located all around their body, making them become big enough to rival the size of sauropods on Earth. The Duoris becoming the biggest herbivore ever on Glaciolae with their air sacs located all around their body. They could reach truly gigantic sizes, with the adults having almost no natural predators. They used their extended mouth to reach food no other animal could. However, this wasn't peaceful. Their entire life as a predator soon evolved to counter them. The Tabilis followed all of these new herbivores, taking their rightful place as the apex predator. Their descendants, the Perpisterna, had a more flattened tail, using it purely for fighting other males for a mating rights. Their colors resembled the trees around them. They could fight off any other predator, giving them first bites into any prey. But that wasn't the end. With all these adaptations, they were the only ones able to hunt the biggest herbivores around. While still rare, these fights were very brutal, only being seen in times of desperation. These predators still earned the name Giant Killer. We're not done yet, as the Verema still have the descendants we haven't talked about yet, starting with the Versis. By growing to bone structures on their sides, they could grow out their skin. Like many others being able to glide, they used this to escape predators. However, their small size led to something even greater. They could advance to. The Fumen was the full culmination of this, developing air sacs, like the Duoris, that could be seen on their stomach and wings. They also repurposed their wide tails to act as a rudder, helping the Fumen make turns easily as they flew through the forest looking for fruits and plants. Thank you for watching until the end, and a special thanks to Project Sintar for all the fan at this episode. As always, the Discord link will be in the description if you want to help out or see what the next episode looks like. But goodbye for now. I will see you all on the next episode.